Welcome to MTG friends, I'm Ryan. We're going to do a Commander deck tech. This one is on a pre-con from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. As of this recording, this actually hasn't even come out yet. I was doing pre-release last weekend, had a blast, and in one of my packs, I got this bad boy, Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. So I decided, ooh, I've been wanting to do a zombie tribal-esque thing. Let's do it. Let's do it now. All right, so Wilhelt the Rotcleaver, it's a 4-drop 3/3 zombie warrior. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decay, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Now, Decayed is a mechanic out of Midnight Hunt. It can't block, as in the zombie. When it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Now, the end of combat, because then at the beginning of your end step, which is not combat step, you may sacrifice a zombie. If you do, draw a card. So this build is mostly a tribal feel, but we got some sack mechanics. Because we're in blue, we got a little bit of control and just a lot of fun graveyard play. So let's jump into it, and as usual, let's check out the packages. And again, as usual, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, hit that like button, whether you're new or not. Really appreciate it. All right, here we go. So we got what we're called buff. We're doing some buff action, you know, +1s to zombies, +2, +1, that kind of thing. The land package as usual. We got a couple sack pieces, Dictate of Erebos and Grave Pact. This is not a sack deck specifically, but we do have a few things that synergize with the sack mechanic, keeping their board state off kilter and all that cool stuff. Plus the fact that we can go ahead and sack with the mechanics of our commander. So we got a little bit of splashing of that, peppering of it. We got some tutoring going on, which you would expect in blue and black. We got graveyard play, some control, just a few pieces of control, but since we're in blue, we're gonna really try to keep control of the board state and get our tribe out there. We got ramp, removal, a good amount of zombie-specific support cards, and then we have some utility zombies that maybe don't fit into the other categories. All right, so let's jumpeth ineth, and we will start with some buff. All right, here we go, here we go. And you know, I just, for some reason, whenever I see the actual commander's name, it just makes me want to use a German accent. Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. I don't know why, I digress. Let's move on. Cemetery Reaper for 3. Zombies get +1. You can tap it for 3 and exile target creature card from a graveyard. So we're going to be using this for some spot removal in our opponent's graveyard, because this will actually go against some of the mechanics we have going, like reanimation spells and that kind of stuff. However, in a pinch, this is going to be really versatile and very useful, especially if we're playing other reanimate type graveyard play card decks. All right, next up we have the Baron, the Death Baron. Skeletons you control and other zombies. Zombies you control get +1/+1 and Death Touch. Hey, we'll take a Death Touch zombie any day of the week. Lord of the Accursed, other zombies +1/+1, and for 2 we can give them Menace until end of turn. Oh, an oldie but super awesomeness Maximus goodie, Lord of the Undead. +1/+1, plus you can tap it for 2, return target zombie card from a graveyard to your hand. Milkaeus the Unhallowed, it's a 5-drop, 3, 4, 5, oh, no, sorry, 6, 5/5, zombie cleric with Intimidate. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Other non-human creatures you control get 1/1 and have Undying. So if it dies, it comes back with a 1/1 counter on it, which is super funny, super awesome. Risen Executioner for 4/4/3, zombie warrior, can't be blocked. Other zombies get +1/+1. And what's nice is you can recast this out of the graveyard for 1 additional colorless mana on top of its casting cost for the creatures that are in our graveyard. So in a pinch, we can get this back out of the graveyard if we really need it in that way. Undead War Chief, one of the jankiest, awesomest buff type creatures. Zombie spells cost 1 less, and it gives +2/+1 to all zombies. And we are not 100% zombie tribal, but we are pretty darn close. All right, we got some graveyard play. Animate Dead. Bring it out of any graveyard, and it gets a -1 for power. Grave Crawler can't be blocked. We can play it from our graveyard if we have a zombie in play. Grave Digger, we can bring back a creature from the graveyard to our hand. To our hands. Hands across America. What? Grave Spawn Sovereign. I do not like that this is a 6-drop. However, it does have some jank. That's some stank. Take 5 untapped zombies you control. Put target creature card. Tap. In case that wasn't clear. Tap 5 untapped zombies you control. Put target creature card from graveyard onto the battlefield under control. That is fantastic. We can go grab any creature out of any graveyard and bring it onto the battlefield for our liking. I like it a lot. All right, Haunting Voyage. This is great. Out of our graveyard, tribal, we say zombies. If we foretold this thing for 5, 6, 7, then we can bring them all back. Otherwise, you can grab 2, I believe. Is it 2? Yeah, 2 out of your graveyard. All right, Haven Gull Leech. Leash. I think it's Leech. It's 3 blue, black, 4/4 zombie wizard. For 1, which we can repeat. You may cast target creature card in a graveyard this turn. When you cast that card this turn, Haven Gull Leech gains all activated abilities of that card until end of turn. So you go grab a zombie that's got the +1/+1. I mean, that's all groovy. Gravy-licious. And then, of course, we got Reanimate. We can go grab any creature in any graveyard, bring it into the battlefield, and lose life equal to its power. All right, we got Relentless Dead. 2-drop 2/2 with Menace, a zombie, of course. When Relentless Dead dies, you may pay black. If you do, return it to its owner's hand. So it's got some sticking power, and when it dies you can pay X. If you do, return another target zombie creature card with converted mana cost X from the graveyard to battlefield. So this is really sticky, really versatile. We can bring zombies back in. Zombie action at its finest. Rise of the Dark Realms. I just think this is a flippin' hilarious card. Originally out of 2014. Put all creature cards from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. Oh, boom. That is just super gross. Alt win most of the time. Rot Hulk. I love this artwork. Let's just pause for a moment and look at this gigantic bloodied axe with, I'm guessing, bats in the background maybe, with some serious like rotten swampland with an old, I don't know, castle-y thing in the back. I mean, this is awesome. When Rot Hulk enters the battlefield, return up to X target zombie creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield where X is the number of opponents. So if you're usually playing against 3, you just brought back, that's right, 1, 2, 3 zombies. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, ramp. The stuff you'd expect. Arcane Signet. Culling the Weak, so you can sack a creature, add 4 to your mana pool. Boom, boom. We got Dark Ritual to add 3 for 1. The Dimir Signet in our colors. Mana Crypt to add 2. Do 3 damage to ourselves if we lose the flip. Soul Ring, of course. And we are into some zombie actions. Ones that don't necessarily fit into the other categories we have. All right, when... let's see if I can get this name right. Acererak the Archlich. There we go. Whatever. Zombie Wizard. This is out of the D&D Forgotten Realms. When it enters the battlefield, if you haven't completed Tomb of Annihilation, so the dungeon mechanics that were in the D&D, most of you are probably familiar with that, so you had 3 dungeons to choose from. This one is telling us we got to do a dungeon crawl in Tomb of Annihilation specifically. Return it to its owner's hand and venture into the dungeon. So you can bring it back into your hand, playing it in for 3. Once we pass through the dungeon, when it attacks for each opponent, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token unless that player sacrifices a creature. So that's for us. We get those zombies. Yeah, pretty stanky, licious Rex. I really like this card. And it's a zombie. Champion of the Parish. So this is right out of the newest Innistrad Midnight Hunt as of this recording. When another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of the Parish. So just like the Champion of White, this is for black, and it's fun, and it's awesome, and it's a zombie. Diregraf Colossus for 3/2/2 comes in with 1/1 counters on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. Zombies. Zombies. That's all I gotta say is zombies. Fallen Shinobi. It's got ninjutsu, so if you got an attacker and it's unblocked, we can fly in Shinobi for 4. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 1-2 cards of their library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards without paying their mana cost. Free spells for whacking them in the face. Helter Skelter, yeah. All right, we got Eternal Bontu, the god, the zombie god. Whenever it enters the battlefield, sack any number of permanents, then draw that many cards. So we got some tokens out there. Sack, 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 sack. We can draw a bunch of cards, refill our hands. Because we're not playing Necropotence, we're not playing Phyrexian Arena, we're not playing those usual black draw every turn spells. We're using other jank and stank on this. All right, and then if it dies or is put into exile from battlefield, you can put it into its owner's hand third from the top. So it's got serious sticking power to boot. And since we are in majority black, I mean, we do have blue peppered around here. We're running Gary, Gray Merchant of Asphodel. It's a 5-drop, and this is super awesome against opponents. If you're not super familiar, you drop this thing, and your opponent loses a minimum of 2 life because it's got 2 black pips. But whatever your devotion is, let's say you have 8 out there in terms of permanents. They lose 8 per opponent, and then you gain 8 per opponent. So if you got 3 opponents, you got 8 black devotion because you got multiple creatures out there. That means you're getting 8 times 3 plus they're each losing 8. I mean, this thing just stacks like a bad boy on Crackalicious Rex. All right, moving on. Crackalicious Rex. Seriously? Did that seriously just come out of my mouth? Grimgrin Corpseborn. It's a 5-drop. Didn't quite fit into the other categories, but this really works with some of our sack mechanics. Grimgrin Corpseborn enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. We're fine with that. Sacrifice another creature, untap Grimgrin, and put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever Grimgrin attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls, then put a 1/1 counter on Grimgrin. It's got it all, folks. It can sack, then trigger our sack mechanics. Plus, when it's attacking, more sack. I mean, just holy moly, this thing has huge sacks. Huge sacks. All right, Horde Wingscape. The most important part of this zombie is that it gives all of our zombies flying. And I think that's seriously jankily hilarious. And the artwork is super weird. I mean, look at that arm. Is it like broken? Is it what is going on? Is that a chain? I think that's a chained arm. That's so weird looking. Whenever one or more zombies you control deals combat damage to one or more of your opponents, you may draw cards equal to the number of opponents dealt damage this way. If you do, discard that many cards. And what is very good about this is it gives you the may. You don't have to do this. So if you need to filter your deck and you need to get some useful stuff in your hand, you can go ahead and start filtering through with that mechanic. Leash Lord of Unx. I want to say Unix, but I'm pretty sure it's Unx. All right, it's a 3-drop 2/2. For 2, you put a 1/1 blue and black zombie wizard creature token in play. And for 4, target player loses X life and puts the top X cards of his or her library into his graveyard, where X is the number of zombies you control. This can get out of hand real quick because we're all about going wide with zombies and tokens and other zombies and zombie craziness. Noxious Ghoul 5. It's a 3/3, which with just that, this would suck, but it doesn't suck because whenever it comes into play, or no, whenever Noxious Ghoul or another zombie comes into play, so not just itself, all non-zombie creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. So there's a few cards that we have that aren't zombies, but not very many. So this is going to be definitely hurting the board state for your opponents way more than you. This is great for tribal. Shepherd of Rot. It's a 2-drop 1/1. Each player loses 1 life for each zombie on the battlefield. No brainer, right? No brainer. Tainted Adversary. This is the black adversary out of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Green has its own. White has its own, etc., etc. The green one only costs 2 to start triggering, but let us explain. It's got Death Touch. Thumbs up, 2/3 zombie. Whenever Tainted Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many 1/1 counters on Tainted Adversary. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then create twice that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decay. Wow. So we got fodder for our sack stuff. We got stuff to attack with. Plus, they're going to be most likely getting +1 type shenanigans going on. And oldie but goodie, Zombie Master. All zombies gain for 1 black, regenerate, and Swamp Walk. So we're running Urborg, which is going to turn all of our lands into swamp, all of their lands into swamps. So then most likely we're going to have Swamp Walk for any opponent. I mean, this is just great, great, great. All right, as usual, blast through the land package. We got Ancient Tomb. I mean, you know what that does. Cabal Coffers, add black for each swamp you control, and that's any swamp. It doesn't have to be a basic swamp, unlike Cabal Stronghold, which requires a basic swamp. So Cabal Coffers is far superior. Had a subscriber mention that in a comment the other day, and I was like, yeah, probably important to mention the difference between those two. So Cabal Coffers is slightly different than Cabal Stronghold because this one is swamp, not basic swamp. There you go. Cavern of Souls, so our zombies can't be countered. Lovely, lovely action right there. All right, we got the flip pathway, blue or black, depending on which side you play. Command Tower, yep. Fabled Passage, the crack. If you got 4, it comes in untapped after you crack it. Field of the Dead. Yes, we are running a good amount of basic lands. However, we're running enough non-basics that this is going to trigger for us. Whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie. And we're zombieing it up in this zombie tribal shenanigans. So, Field of the Dead banned in other formats, not in this one. Although it's M20, so it wouldn't have been in standard now anyways. So, moving on. Islands, we got a few, 6 of them. We are mostly, I was going to say majorly, majorly, but we're mostly in black. So we're running less islands than swamps. Morphic Pool, this is the one that comes in untapped if we have 2 or more opponents. Phyrexian Tower lets us do the sack mechanic. Sacrifice a creature, add 2 black to your mana pool. Pluto Delta, so we can go fetch for a swamp or an island, depending on what we need. Same thing for Prismatic Vista. Go do a Fetcherson. Shipwreck March. This is the rare lands out of the Innistrad Midnight Hunt set. I like these. Comes in untapped if you control 2 or more other lands. I like this. As opposed to the other iteration, which is 2 or less. This one's way better in Commander. Absolutely, without a doubt. All right, and then we're running more basic swamp lands. Here you go. All right, Underground River. This is the Pain land for the colors that we need. Unholy Grotto is very specific to zombies. For 1 swamp color black, put target zombie card from your graveyard on top of your library. And like I was saying, we got Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. I like the older iteration. Let's put Planar Chaos version. There we go. Just looks, I just like that symbol. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other land types. Yes, sirree, Bob. All right, we got the Shock land in our colors. Comes in untapped for 2 damage. West Vale Abbey. This one is nice. So since we're doing a lot of sacking and we're going to have tokens out there. For 5, we can sacrifice 5 creatures, transform Westvale Abbey, then untap it. So it becomes a 9/7 flying lifelinker, haster, indestructible, gross thing. It's super awesome. The only thing that it is weak against is exile spells. Otherwise, this thing is bananas, folks. Bananas. And often an alt-win situation. All right, we got our typical control. We got Counterspell. We got another Counterspell, Disallow. We got Fierce Guardianship, Counterspell, non-creature. We can play it for no mana if we have our commander out. Mana drain so we can get some extra mana the next turn. Negate for non-creatures. All the stuff you would typically see. Soul Manipulation for 3, which gives us some versatility, which is counter target creature spell. Or return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And it's actually one or both. You get to choose. All right, we got some zombie support going on. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-zombie creature. 9 times out of 10, that's not going to make us sack anything. However, if we have a non-zombie out there and we got some grave pack going on, we sack it, then they got to sack more than one. I mean, that's pretty hilarious. Hilarious indeed. Endless Ranks of the Dead. Oh, I just love all these names of these cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, create X/2/2 black zombie creature tokens where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. You got 10 out there, you do half rounded down. That would be 5. You round down to what, 4? Did I do the math right there? Anyways, it's the rounded down part. X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. No, I think half is literally 5, right? You can put in comments if I'm being a complete idiot. All right, Ghoulcaller Gisa for 5/3/4. It is for black tap, sacrifice another creature, put X/2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So this happens to be one of those very few non-zombie creatures, so just keep that in mind when you're doing zombie hate out there, or non-zombie hate, should I say. All right, Gisa and Geralf. That sounds German, doesn't it? When Gisa and Geralf enter the battlefield, mill 4 cards. We're okay with that. During each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature spell from your graveyard. Yes, that's right. We get to bring stuff back. Back, I say. All right, Kalitas, Trader of Get. I think it's Kalitas. Is it Kalitas? Put in the comments how you pronounce that. All right, I have this in like multiple decks, but I still don't know how to say it right. 4-drop, 3/4, lifelinker. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. And for 3, sacrifice another vampire or zombie. Put 2 1/1 counters on Kalitas, Traitor of Gat. So this thing gets bigger. It's got lifelink. It's one of the few lifelink cards we have in this particular build. Now we have the Scarab God. We definitely want to be running this zombie loving god. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. That's great. That can really drain life, and that's for each opponent. And for 4, exile target creature card from a graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. When the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So it's got some serious sticking power. We like sticky. We like stickiness here. All right, and like I was saying, we got some sack action going. So the 5-drop with Flash enchantment, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Oh, so gross. So gross indeed. And Grave Pact doing the same thing at regular speed. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. So this isn't a sack deck all its own. It's not like specific about sack. Otherwise, we would be teasing in a few other creatures that like grab those sacked creatures and put them on the battlefield for ourselves. You know, but that's not the deck we're running. We're running some zombie action. All right, so we got some tutors. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Same thing, go fetch a target card, by sacking a creature in addition. And then we got Mystical Tutor to go fetch up some answers for the board if we need it in terms of instants and sorceries. You know, some removal stuff, some countering, whatever we need. We got it. We got it. All right, Sidisi Undead Vizier. It's a 5-drop with Death Touch Exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Sidisi Undead Vizier exploits a creature, you may search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. I love that this is a 4/6 zombie that goes and fetches you up a card. Vampiric Tutor, put on top of your library. That instant speed costs you 2 life. All right, we got a little bit of draw amongst the stuff that we already are drawing for. Discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. Tap 3 untapped zombies you control. You draw a card and you lose a life. There you go. Herald's Horn, not so much draw specifically, but you do the zombies in terms of the creature type. Creature spells you cast of that chosen type cost 1 less, so that's a bonus. But then on top of that, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you can reveal it and put it in your hand. So technically, draw. Kindred Discovery. This is great for anything that has a blue pip to it in terms of tribal. You choose a creature type, and whenever that creature type enters the battlefield or attacks, you draw a card. I mean, that is groovy. Rhystic Study. We all know what this disgusting card does. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Gonna pay 1, gonna pay 1, gonna pay 1. Vanquisher's Banner, tribal. Creatures you control of that chosen type get +1. And when you cast a creature spell of that type, draw a card. Cyclonic Rift! I mean, did you really think we were going to run this? Bounce everything back to their hands for overload cost, which makes everything that's a non-land permanent. I mean, boom. And then, of course, our reset button, Damnation in black. Kindred Dominance, same thing. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. It does cost 7, but it does do awesome stuff. All right, and oh, this is brand new and Innistrad. This is one of the more financially spendy cards, but hey, that's because it's awesome. So X black, whenever the Meat Hook Massacre enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X. So it has a Toxic Deluge built into it, although it doesn't cost you life. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. When a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. So it doesn't have the downside of Toxic Deluge, has the upside, and then it sticks. It's not just a one-off, and then it just keeps doing fun things for you. And this is actually specifically why we are not running Toxic Deluge, because we have Meat Hook Massacre. And let's just pause a moment and look at this incredibly gross artwork that is incredible. This just harkens back to the original type of artwork that we used to see where, oh, no holds barred. And you know what? I just contradicted myself. We are running Toxic Deluge. I guess I just thought, hey, let's have some more -X shenanigans going on. So this is the same kind of thing. It is a one-off instead of the meat hooks, and you do lose X life for the -X. So instead of X being in the spell's cost, it's a 3-drop. There you have it. Zombie Apocalypse. Return all zombie creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, tap, then destroy all humans. Yeah, there you go. Very funny. All right, and that brings us all the way back to Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. It's such a fun zombie commander. I love it. This is going to be a lot of fun to play. I'm going to be putting the physical iteration of this deck together within the next week and start running this. I just think this is going to be super duper amounts of fun. All right, thanks for sticking till the end. Check out our other episodes, MTG Friends. We got lots of things going on. Please put in comments. If you have a commander you'd like to see, please request it. I will respond and most likely do the commander as well. We're trying to expand into other things other than just commander deck tech. So any feedback is great. Let us know what you would like to see on this channel. We're going to stick to the commander deck techs. That's our core, but we're moving into other things as well. And stay tuned. We're going to have a web presence coming very soon for mtgfriends.com. All right. Peace.